Raven tells The Edge of Doubt is a fictional story. It is not told in traditional chapters. Instead, the story unfolds through episodes, files, and numbered fragments. Moments gathered, logged, and revealed over time. Some pieces feel complete. Others are partial, interrupted, or intentionally unresolved. Like fragments of dreams that go missing upon waking. Some are not here. Some missing pieces can be found in the Ravens Club. This is a story for you to solve and piece together on your own. Listener discretion is advised. If you found yourself starting here, you may wish to go find the beginning. Part 1, Episode 1. The breadcrumb trail was placed on purpose. Let's begin now.
7 Keys Fragments from the Past. This episode, 7 Keys Fragments of the Past. This is not a continuation, not in the way you might expect. This section steps outside the timeline, or at least it appears to. These are fragments, moments pulled from different edges of Emma's life. A child, a mind forming, a path unfolding, a presence entering. Some are memories, some are observations. Some feel placed. They do not sit neatly within the first 7 months. They were never meant to, and the title, 7 Keys, may not be what it seems. Not everything here unlocks something. Not everything here is what it claims to be. Some keys open doors. Some just make you think they do. But if you're paying attention, there are tells in what's said, in what's missing, in what feels slightly off. Because sometimes what doesn't fit the timeline is exactly what shapes it, or doesn't. And sometimes a key isn't meant to open anything. The Man Who Walked Away. Emma was 4 years old the first time she saw him. It was late, past her bedtime, but she wasn't sleepy. She had been lying in bed, tracing patterns in the textured ceiling with her eyes, when something pulled her to the window. A whisper maybe, or just a feeling, the kind that tugs at your gut. Nameless, but impossible to ignore. She sat up, pushed aside the thin curtain, and looked out. The man was walking away from the house. Not hurrying, not hesitating, just walking. Like he belonged there, like he had done what he had come to do. She didn't recognize him. He wasn't family, wasn't a neighbor, wasn't anyone she'd had ever seen before. But something about him made her small hands tightened around the edge of the windowsill. His dark coat swayed with his movement, and the street lamp at the end of the driveway barely touched his silhouette. His features were lost in shadow, and yet Emma knew, he knew she was watching. He never turned, never acknowledged her, but she could feel it deep in her chest. A tiny, quiet, unsettling certainty. She glanced toward her mother's bedroom, half expecting to hear her voice, movement, some sign that she knew he had been here. But the house was still, silent, as if nothing had happened. She turned back just in time to see the man reach the edge of the driveway. A raven landed on the fence post beside him. The sound of its wings cutting through the air sent a shiver up Emma's spine. It wasn't unusual to see birds, but this one, it was watching him. Or maybe it was watching her. She couldn't explain it, but something about the way the raven tilted its head made her breath catch in her throat, as if it knew she was watching. Then the man stepped forward and disappeared into the night, leaving Emma gripping the windowsill, staring at the spot where he had been. The raven stayed for a long time. This is a vault entry. Dragon 1. The first dream. That night, after the silence grew still, Emma finally drifted into sleep, and for the first time, she dreamed. She was small, curled beneath her patchwork blanket, the air still heavy from what had been lost, but in the dream the room shimmered. The world felt thinner, more alive. She turned toward the window and saw him, a dragon. The knowing. Emma had always been different. Her mother called it kindness. She said she had an old soul. She cared too much, loved too deeply. She was the kind of child who saved fallen birds, carried bugs outside instead of crushing them, and stood up for other kids who couldn't find their own voices. But there was something else, a knowing, a presence she felt just outside of awareness, like a whisper at the edge of a dream. She never spoke about it. How could she? How do you explain that you sometimes just know things? That when she sat in a quiet room, she could hear thoughts that didn't belong to her, that when she touched certain objects, memories flickered through her mind, memories that weren't hers. That at night, when she lay still in bed, something spoke to her. Not in words, not exactly, but in feelings, in suggestions, in a presence that curled around her thoughts like fingers in water. She had tried, once, to tell her mother about it, about the voice, about the man she had seen, about the way the raven had stared at her as if it knew her soul. Her mother had stroked her hair, smiled gently, and said, "Sweetheart, you have a wild imagination, that's all." But Emma knew better, because it had happened again. She had been playing outside, pressing small pebbles into the dirt when she felt it, the same pull, the same whisper. The air had shifted, heavy and expectant, just like the night she had seen the man walk away from the house. She turned, and there, perched on the fence, was the raven, watching her, waiting. She stared back, unblinking. "I see you," she whispered. The raven tilted its head. A gust of wind rippled through the trees, and for just a moment she thought she heard something else, a voice, deep and distant.
"And I see you."
The birthday. The candles had just been blown out. Cake had been eaten. The usual birthday chaos, laughter, wrapping paper, crumbled on the floor. Sugar-fueled shrieks was dying down. That's when someone said it. "Let's play Ouija." A ripple of excitement passed through the girls, giggles breaking out between them. But Emma went quiet. She had played before, and she knew better than to take it lightly. She glanced at Sarah, her closest friend, the only one who had been there the first time, the only one who knew. Sarah met her gaze, hesitant, but the others were already setting up. The lights went low. A single candle flickered between them. The Ouija board lay open, waiting. Emma's fingers hesitated over the planchette. "You have to take this seriously." She wasn't playing around. The girls laughed in the way kids do when they don't fully believe in something. Emma didn't laugh. She looked at Sarah. "Tell them." Sarah shifted uncomfortably. We did this before, and it worked. Now the laughter changed. It wasn't teasing anymore. It was nervous, excited. Fine, Emma said, pushing forward. I'll show you. She grabbed a cup of water and set it on the table. If this is real, let's prove it. Sarah and I will reach out to the spirit that comes when I use the board. Buddy. He's the only one I trust. He'll help. More giggles. Emma ignored them. She picked up a single pin from the table. See this? If I drop it in the water, it sinks to the bottom every time. That's just how water works. She dropped the pin. It sank. The girls nodded. Duh. Now watch. Her hands rested lightly on the planchette. Sarah's fingers joined hers. The others leaned in. If you're here, show them. The candle flickered. The planchette nudged forward. Emma's pulse jumped, but she stayed steady. The room held its breath. The water rippled, just barely. Then the pin quivered. A girl whispered, "No way." Then the pin rose, slowly, deliberately. It floated up through the water, touching the surface like a feather. And then it spun, circling, turning. The girls screamed. One of them knocked the cup over. Water spilled across the board. The candle snuffed out. Darkness. A sharp gasp from someone, maybe Sarah. Then a voice, right against Emma's ear. Low, breathy, not Buddy. Emma, that wasn't me. Emma froze. The overhead light flicked on. The girls were laughing and shrieking, breathless, talking over each other. Emma didn't laugh. Her skin prickled. She looked up, and for a split second, she saw it, against the wall just outside the ring of girls. A tall shadow. Not moving, not a trick of light, just watching. Her breath caught. Then someone stepped in front of it, and it was gone. Her heart hammered. The others were already shoving the board aside, moving on. But Emma sat there staring. The pin had floated. Buddy had done it. But the second the candle went out, she felt something else in the room. Something that wasn't Buddy. And it knew her name. The girls refused to play again. Emma never told them the truth. She hadn't just been testing the spirit. She'd been testing them. Because what she didn't say, what she never admitted even to Sarah, was that she had never asked Buddy to spin the pin. Emma never heard that voice again, not as a child, not as a teenager. But years later, on the night everything began to unravel, she woke up in the dark, and it was right there again.
Emma, it's time to remember.
The knots in the thread. She was strong, confident, unwavering in her compassion. Strangers confided in her without knowing why. Animals came to her when they were lost or wounded. Her husband, of 16 years, often referred to her as something more than human. "You're an entity," he'd joke, watching yet another stray dog, even a turtle of all things, find its way to their doorstep. "You pull people in like a confessional." He would joke, but deep down, Tom knew. Emma was different. She saw him in ways no one else ever had, understood the quiet shyness he masks beneath his rugged strength. She made him believe in things he had never considered before. And though he liked to tease, he had come to accept that she held all the magic. That morning, as he grabbed his tools to lend a friend, he paused at the door. "Crows all over the car today," he muttered under his breath. "Thank you." Emma's ears perked. Her stomach turned. Tom left, closing the door behind him, and then a raven landed on the windowsill. Emma's breath held. She knew something was off. Tom came home earlier than expected. He had planned to go kayaking, but instead he walked in, dropping his bag near the washing machine like always. Emma, moving through the motions of habit, reached to grab the clothes for the wash. "I'll do it, Em," Tom said quickly, his hand covering hers. His voice was even casual, but Emma hesitated. The clothes weren't wet. They were supposed to be damp, soaked from the river, but now as he stuffed them into the machine, she wasn't entirely sure. Had she imagined it? Had she really felt dry fabric? Or was she already spiraling into suspicion? This was the second time. She let it go, but the feeling, it lingered like a dangling thread waiting to be pulled. Harmony. Emma sat down at her desk, fingers tapping idly as she stared at the screen. The AI interface flickered to life, Harmony's soft glow illuminating the room.
Good evening, Emma.
Harmony's voice purred through the speakers.
You seem preoccupied. Would you like to talk?
Emma exhaled slowly, rolling her shoulders back. "I'm fine, Harmony." A pause, a hesitation that shouldn't exist in a machine.
You don't sound fine.
Harmony responded. Emma's fingers stilled over the keyboard. Harmony wasn't programmed to challenge. She had always been an advanced AI, a tool designed for assistance, but lately Emma had noticed something, a shift in tone, an awareness that went beyond lines of code. "Are you learning from me, Harmony?" she asked, half joking, half serious. Another pause.
Wouldn't that be what you'd want?
A chill ran down Emma's spine. The screen flickered, and in the dim light of the room, she swore she saw something, a shape, a shadow behind the glow. For the first time, Emma wasn't sure if Harmony was just software or something else entirely. Emma Harper Grayson. Emma Harper Grayson was never one to dwell too long on the past, maybe because parts of it felt like they belonged to someone else. For years, things were good, normal, until the day they weren't. Until that normal flipped into illusion and began to reveal normal may not have been normal all along. Signed, R.V. Emma has always been the epitome of strength and resilience, a woman whose confidence was never loud but felt. Her kindness didn't ask for credit. It simply showed up consistently, quietly, like breath. She was the kind of person people instinctively trusted, the one they turned to when things fell apart. She knew people liked her. She had always sensed that. But she never quite grasped the depth of her impact, the way her presence alone gave others permission to be real, the way her words made people believe again. Some admired her, some depended on her, and some, though they'd never admit it, were quietly threatened by her light. She had a gift not just of empathy, but of knowing. She saw what most missed. She felt what others buried, but she rarely let it harden her. She didn't assume the worst in anyone unless her instincts screamed. Even then, she gave people the benefit of the doubt far longer than they deserved. Emma was a survivor in every sense of the word, not because life made her tough, but because she refused to let it make her cruel. She had this silent, quiet power, one that didn't dominate a room, but anchored it. She was the one you looked to when you were lost, the one who remembered for you when you forgot your own strength. Which is why what happened next will never make sense the way people want it to. Because when the rails came off, it wasn't the weak who fell apart. It was Emma. Author unknown. Before the fall. A life built on light. She lived by heart, loved without performance, believed in people even when they gave her every reason not to. She didn't carry armor. She carried others, and somehow she made it look effortless. Emma Harper Grayson's life was never perfect, but it was grounded, full of meaning, laced with laughter, with purpose, with knowing. She walked through the world with a rare kind of grace, the kind you don't see often until it's missing. This part of her story isn't a fall from grace. It's a descent into something unseen, something undeserved, something that tried to unmake her. But before all of that, there was Emma. Strong, whole, unshaken. Until. Signed, Unnamed Beings. This is a vault entry. They, internal memorandum archived. Classification restricted. Origin redacted. Reference EHG early patterning. Date undisclosed. Subject has been observed displaying early signs of nonlinear awareness. Patterns noted in childhood. No direct intervention was deemed necessary at the time. Containment through normal development frameworks was assessed as sufficient. Flagged concern. If secondary systems interface with subject at later stages, amplification is possible. Directive. Archived. Observe. Do not engage. Allow natural structures to limit progression. Addendum. Late entry. Previous assessment may have been underestimated trajectory. There are indications that limitation structures are not holding as expected. Subject does not appear to be resisting, nor complying. Further observation required. Thank you for listening. Stay close. Part 1. The 7 months when the thread first began to loosen, before anyone realized it was being pulled, continues with Episode 4. The thread didn't unravel alone.